The first thing they teach you when you get a prison job is that it's not about the money, it's about the access. The movement. The little bit of freedom it gives you inside those concrete walls. My job was cutting hair. But that chair, that old cracked vinyl chair in a converted supply closet, became more than just a place for haircuts. It became a confessional booth, a trap, and, eventually, a death sentence. The sound of clippers still gives me chills. That soft brrrr under the buzz of flickering lights, mixed with the smell of cheap shampoo and disinfectant. I can still feel the humidity in that tiny room, the way the air always smelled faintly of bleach and sweat no matter how many times I scrubbed the floor. I wasn't supposed to get that job. I wasn't even supposed to be in Blackridge Correctional. My name's Elena Ruiz, 34 years old when they locked me up. I got 7 years for accessory to armed robbery, wrong place, wrong man. My ex-boyfriend, Luis, thought he was clever enough to rob a pawn shop in Glendale. I was the one waiting outside in the car. When he ran out with blood on his hands and a bag full of jewelry, it was already too late for me to drive away. That's the thing about prison, they don't care if you pulled the trigger or sat in the driver's seat. You still end up behind bars. At first, I kept my head down. Prison teaches you silence fast. The gossip in the chow hall could get you jumped, and one bad look could get you checked in the showers. But when the old barber, a woman named Tiny, who was anything but, got transferred to medical, I saw my chance. I used to cut hair on the outside. My mom had a small salon, nothing fancy, but I learned how to fade a man's hair before I could drive. Inside, that skill meant something. It meant power. The barber shop was a converted supply closet at the end of C Block. Just one cracked mirror, a box of dull scissors, a pair of clippers that overheated after 15 minutes, and a single outlet that sparked every time you plugged something in. But it was my space. No cameras inside. They said it was because of electrical interference, but everyone knew it was because the guards liked to come in for their own trims off the record. That's where I met Rita. She came in the first week I got the job, tall, pale, covered in tattoos that told a story I didn't want to know. She sat down and said, "You cut clean, or am I gonna regret this?" I told her I cut cleaner than most guards shave. That made her smirk. Rita ran half of C Block, but she wasn't loud about it. The kind of woman you only noticed when she wanted you to. She controlled the contraband flow, cigarettes, pills, makeup, the small things that made prison feel less like hell. We started talking. Not much at first. She'd ask about my ex, I'd ask about her case. She was serving 15 for aggravated assault, said she corrected a man who tried to hurt her sister. What I didn't know then was that she also corrected women inside when they crossed her. But the barber shop made people honest. Something about sitting in that chair, the hum of the clippers near their neck, made them talk. They told me about their kids, their charges, their mistakes. Some talked about the guards they were sleeping with, others about the deals they were running. I didn't ask, they just told. The first time it hit me that I was sitting on a gold mine was when Tasha, one of the kitchen girls, came in shaking. She wanted her hair cut short, said she needed a change. But halfway through the trim, she broke down crying. "They're gonna kill her," she said. "Who?" I asked. She looked up at me in the mirror. Rita's girl. The new one. Maya. That's when I learned what power really looked like behind bars. Maya was Rita's property. Pretty girl, new transfer, soft around the edges. She didn't know the rules yet. Someone had caught her talking to another crew in the laundry about a deal that wasn't supposed to leave C Block. And in prison, breaking rules wasn't about discipline, it was about dominance. Tasha begged me to say something. But saying the wrong thing inside could get you beaten or worse. So I did what I always did, I listened. For a week, everything seemed fine. Maya kept her head down. Rita came in for her usual trim. She even brought me a pack of cigarettes, for keeping quiet," she said. That was the first time I realized she knew I'd heard something. I thought that was it until one night, during count, I heard the alarm. 2 short bursts. Code blue. Someone down in C block. We were locked in for hours after that. When they finally cleared us, word spread fast. Maya had been found in the laundry, beaten so bad she couldn't walk. Broken ribs, split lip, missing teeth. They said she fell. Everyone knew better. And I knew one thing, Rita had made her point. I thought about quitting the barber shop after that. But quitting meant giving up my one safe space and, in a strange way, my power. Instead, I kept cutting. Women still came to me, still talked, still let their secrets slip. And the more I listened, the more I started connecting dots. Who was sneaking contraband through laundry carts, which guard was taking bribes, which inmate was next in line to disappear. The barber shop had become a map of the prison's underworld, and I was sitting in the center of it. Then, one afternoon, Officer Klein, the one who handled intake, came by for a trim. He leaned against the doorway, smiling like he owned the place. "You hear things in here, right, Ruiz?" he said. I froze. "I just cut hair." He smirked. "That's what they all say. But I bet you could make yourself real useful if you paid attention." That's when I realized it wasn't just the inmates watching me. The guards wanted in, too. By then, I had learned one thing. In prison, secrets were more dangerous than weapons. And I had too many in my head. What I didn't know, not yet, was that one of those secrets would make me the next target. And the person who told it to me was already planning my downfall. If you've ever cut hair inside a prison, you know there's a rhythm to it. Buzz, snip, wipe, repeat. But after what happened with Maya, that rhythm changed. Every hum of the clippers felt like a warning. Every pair of eyes that passed my door felt like surveillance. I kept my head down, my mouth shut, and my ears open. That's the only way you survive in a place like Blackridge. Rita stopped coming by for a while after Maya's beating. The barber shop felt emptier without her shadow in the doorway. But her name never stopped circling the block. She was rebuilding her crew, cutting out weak links. Every time I heard the shuffle of her boots in the corridor, the hairs on my neck stood up. Still, I didn't quit. Cutting hair kept me moving, kept me sane. Then one day, about 2 weeks after Maya's accident, Officer Klein came back. Same smug grin, same cocky posture. But this time, he closed the door behind him. "I've got a proposition for you, Ruiz," he said, sitting in the chair. I didn't answer. I just draped the cape over him and turned the clippers on. "You hear things," he said, talking over the buzz. "Who's moving what, who's talking to who? I need to know if Rita's got something planned." "I don't get in the middle of that," I said quietly. He smirked. "That's too bad. 'Cause you might end up in the middle whether you like it or not." When he left, he dropped a folded piece of paper on the counter. Inside, there was a name, Tasha. The same Tasha who'd warned me about Maya. That night, I couldn't sleep. My bunkmate, a quiet woman named Janelle, was snoring softly, but I just stared at the ceiling. I kept thinking about what Klein said about being in the middle. In Blackridge, that's a death sentence. 2 days later, Tasha came for a trim. Her hands were shaking, her eyes darting toward the door. She looked like someone waiting for bad news. "Everything okay?" I asked, pretending to clean the clippers. She swallowed hard. "I told you about Maya," she whispered. I shouldn't have said anything. Rita's asking questions. She thinks someone's talking to the guards. My stomach dropped. Before I could respond, the door creaked open. Rita walked in. She leaned against the frame, arms crossed. "You got time for one more?" Tasha froze. The clippers buzzed in my hand. Rita smiled, that calm, deadly smile she had. "Don't stop on my account." Tasha looked like she was about to cry. I kept cutting, but my hands trembled so bad I nicked her neck. A thin line of blood appeared, and she flinched. Rita's eyes caught the red. "Careful, Elena. You don't want to draw blood in here." Her tone was light, but her meaning wasn't. When she left, Tasha slumped in the chair. "She knows," she whispered. That night, word spread fast. Tasha was moved to solitary for her own protection. That's what they always said. Nobody saw her again. After that, I stopped trying to stay neutral. Neutral wasn't safe anymore. Rita came back a few days later, this time alone. She sat down, calm, like nothing had happened. "You know what I like about you, Ruiz," she said, lighting a contraband cigarette and exhaling slow. "You don't talk too much. You listen. You see things." I nodded carefully. She smiled. "I could use someone like you." That's how it started, my first real deal inside. Rita wanted me to pass messages. The barber shop was the perfect cover. I'd hide a folded note under the chair cushion or inside the comb jar. Guards didn't check my space often. It was too small, too boring. At first, it was harmless. Just messages about who owed who, or who to avoid. But soon, I realized I was part of something bigger. One day, Rita slipped a small packet into my hand. "Give this to Klein," she said. My throat went dry. "What is it?" "Just a little thank you," she said with a grin. I didn't ask questions. I slid it into my sleeve and waited until my next shift in the laundry room, where Klein always passed through for his smoke breaks. When I handed it off, he smirked. "See? I knew you were smart." I didn't feel smart. I felt sick. That night, I couldn't shake the feeling that both of them, Rita and Klein, were using me. And the worst part? I couldn't tell who was more dangerous. Days turned into weeks. The tension in the block got thicker. A shipment of cigarettes went missing, and everyone blamed everyone else. Fights broke out. One of Rita's girls got sent to the infirmary after being jumped in the showers. Through it all, I kept cutting, kept listening. But the whispers had turned sharp. There was talk of a snitch. One morning, I opened the barber shop and found something taped under my scissors, a note written in block letters. "You talk, you die." I sat down on the stool, my hands shaking. Someone had been in my shop after hours. Someone who wanted me scared. That night, I saw Klein again during count. He gave me a small nod, the kind that said, "Keep quiet." That's when it hit me. He'd used me to move something illegal, probably drugs, under the radar. And now, the whole block was tearing itself apart over it. The next morning, Rita showed up early. She shut the door behind her and said, "We got a problem." I tried to play dumb. "What kind of problem?" "One of my girls says Klein's been running his own side business. Using my pipeline." My pulse started pounding. She leaned in close. "You wouldn't happen to know anything about that, would you?" I wanted to deny it, but I could see it in her eyes. She already knew I'd been the go-between. "Rita," I said quietly, "I didn't know what was in the packet." "I swear." She stared at me for a long time, then finally smiled. "I believe you." But I didn't trust that smile. When she left, I noticed she'd left something behind on the counter, a small razor blade. Clean, shiny, deliberate. A message. That night, I sat on my bunk, staring at the ceiling again. Only this time, I wasn't thinking about survival. I was thinking about escape, not from prison, but from the trap I'd walked into. Because now I knew I was caught between Rita and Klein, and neither of them would hesitate to cut me loose. Literally. And the next day, when I walked into the barber shop, I saw something that froze my blood. The chair was gone. In its place, a pool of dried blood, dark and sticky under the flickering light. Someone had beaten me to it. The morning they found the blood in my barber shop, the sirens screamed for a full half hour. Every inmate in cell block D was locked down, guards shouting, boots pounding the corridors. I sat on my bunk, hands folded tight, trying to stop them from shaking. Nobody said whose blood it was. That's how they do it in Blackridge. Information is power, and they keep it locked tighter than the cells. By lunchtime, word spread that someone from Rita's crew was missing. Some said it was her right-hand girl, V. Others whispered it was Klein. Nobody knew for sure. But when I saw Rita being escorted past my cell, her wrists cuffed, her chin high, and a smear of blood on her sleeve, I knew whatever had happened in my shop, it was her message. And it wasn't over. That night, they let me back into the barber shop. Said I had privileges to clean up my own workspace. Privileges. That's what they called it. The chair was still missing. The floor had been scrubbed, but the smell of bleach couldn't hide the metallic tang of blood. I picked up my scissors, still lying where I'd left them, and stared at my reflection in the cracked mirror. My face looked older, harder. When I turned around, Klein was standing in the doorway. "Place looks good," he said, stepping in like he owned it. I froze. "You shouldn't be here." He smirked. "You think I'm scared of Rita's little fan club?" I didn't answer. He leaned against the counter, lowering his voice. "She went too far this time. Someone's gotta put her down for good. And you're gonna help me do it." I felt my stomach twist. "You're out of your mind." He pulled something from his jacket, a tiny cell phone, one of the ones they smuggled in for high-stakes deals. He slid it across the counter. "You're gonna call her. Tell her to meet you here tomorrow. Tell her it's about what she left behind." "The razor?" I asked quietly. He grinned. "Exactly." I looked at that phone like it was a snake ready to strike. "You want me to set her up?" I said. He leaned close, his breath hot with coffee and nicotine. "You're already in it, Ruiz. Whether you like it or not. But here's the bright side, help me take her down, and you walk. Quiet transfer. Minimum security. Maybe even parole." He left before I could answer. That night, I didn't sleep. I stared at the tiny phone, hidden under my pillow, wondering which devil I'd rather serve. Rita had given me power inside. Klein was offering me freedom outside. But both of them were using me as a blade. And blades only stay sharp until someone decides to drop them. By morning, I'd made my choice. When Rita walked back into the shop, there was no guard with her this time. Just her, calm, collected, in control again. "Place looks better," she said softly. "You cleaned up nice." I didn't answer. I handed her the phone. "Klein wanted me to call you." Her eyebrows lifted, amused. "Did he now?" "He wants you here," I said. "Said it's about what you left." She looked down at the phone, then back at me. "And you're telling me this because..." "Because I'm tired," I said. "Of being between both of you." For a moment, she studied me like she could see right through the skin and bone. Then she smiled. "Smart girl." She stepped closer, her voice low. "You think Klein's your way out? He's been playing you since day one. You think that packet you gave him was cigarettes? That was oxy. He's been moving it through inmates and pocketing the profit. When it went missing, he blamed my girls. I felt the blood drain from my face. She leaned even closer, whispering, "That's why Maya got hurt. Why Tasha disappeared. Klein started a war to cover his mess. You were just the delivery girl." I wanted to deny it, but it made too much sense. Klein had always been too confident, too casual with the rules. "What do you want me to do?" I whispered. Rita smiled. "I want you to finish the haircut." That night, I waited. Klein came in after final count, exactly like she said he would. He closed the door, locked it from the inside, and sat down in the replacement chair the guards had brought in. "Where's Rita?" he asked. "On her way," I said quietly. He reached into his jacket. "You wired?" I shook my head. "No." He grinned. "Good. Then let's make this quick." Before I could blink, Rita stepped out from the back closet. She must have slipped in before count. Her eyes were cold, and in her hand, she held the razor blade she'd left me days ago. Klein jumped to his feet, hand going for his radio, but Rita was faster. She slashed across his forearm, sending blood spraying across the mirror. He stumbled, shouting, trying to grab her wrist. "Stop!" I screamed. They crashed into the counter, knocking combs and scissors to the floor. The sound was deafening in the small room. I tried to pull Rita back, but she shoved me aside. Klein's face twisted in panic, his other hand reaching for his baton. Then I saw the scissors, lying at my feet. I don't remember deciding. I just moved. The metal sank deep into Klein's shoulder. He gasped, turned, eyes wide with disbelief. Then he fell, hitting the floor hard. For a second, nobody breathed. Then Rita looked at me, really looked. Not as a pawn, not as a tool. As someone who'd finally drawn her own line. "Guess you picked a side," she said quietly. I stared at the blood pooling under Klein's arm, spreading across the tile. "I didn't mean to." Rita crouched, pulling the phone from his jacket pocket. "You did what you had to." She dialed a number, whispered something I couldn't hear, then stood. "You should wash your hands," she said. "They'll be here soon." She left through the back door before I could stop her. When the alarms went off, I didn't run. I sat in the chair, Klein's blood still warm on my hands. The guards burst in, weapons drawn, shouting commands. I didn't resist. They took me to solitary first, then interrogation. I told them everything, about Klein, about the smuggling, about Rita. But by the time they checked, the phone was gone. So was Rita. 2 weeks later, an internal investigation cleared Klein's record. Official story, inmate assault during routine inspection. Case closed. No mention of drugs. No mention of me. They transferred me to another facility a month later. Minimum security, just like Klein promised. I guess someone up there wanted the story buried. Now I cut hair in a quieter place. No gangs, no shivs, no blood on the floor. Sometimes, though, when I turn on the clippers, I hear the faint echo of Blackridge, the hum, the whispers, the fear that never really leaves your skin. Every now and then, I get letters. No return address, just a single word written in neat handwriting. Sharp. The first time I got one, I smiled. Because I knew who it was from. Rita. She's still out there, somewhere. Probably running things her own way, sharper than ever. And me? I'm free, technically. But every night, when I close my eyes, I still see that chair, that blood, that blade. And I realize something no one ever told me about prison. You don't escape it. You just carry it with you.